Welcome to Never Enough Gaming, either episode 14 or 15, depends on my editing order. But today we're talking about the original Resident Evil on PS1, and I have Master Scratcher with me.
Hello, hello.
Hello. And, yeah, I'm excited to get into this. Which playthrough were you more familiar with, Jill or Chris?
I usually go for Jill just because of the larger inventory.
Yeah, it's nice to have. I'm definitely more familiar with Jill. I played through hers twice and Chris once, but yeah. And plus, you get Barry, and I like
Oh yeah, true. Barry is the all-American beard, as I like to call him.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think some version of Resident Evil 1, I think the DS version maybe, calls Chris's playthrough the hard mode and Jill the easy mode. I could be misremembering the game which does it, but one of the versions does have both of the characters as their own kind of difficulties, because Chris just has less inventory space.
Yeah,
I guess that's the main gist of it.
I mean, that's enough to change the difficulty. Because in the original one, the only other tank control one I played was Zero, and I beat that. And I really miss the option of being able to place your items on the ground.
Oh yeah, people diss Zero just because it doesn't have item boxes, but I actually really enjoy not having to run around trying to find a box to put my items in. Just put them everywhere.
And especially if you already know the layout of Zero, you can really plan your run just by, alright, I'm going to leave this in this specific hallway and I'll run through later and grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna spoil anything from the remake for you. There are some things that make it even harder to run around with item boxes.
Great, that's awesome. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with this. Do you know what the that's what editing's for? Do you know what the difference is with the director's cut of the game?
Director's cut was originally supposed to have the uncensored opening, because the game originally, I'm pretty sure if you played the original version, that had the black and white opening, right?
Yeah.
So the director's cut was supposed to have a full color opening with a lot more gore in it, but they somehow fudged it up when putting it on disc, so they still have the censored version even on the director's cut. And the only version that has the actual colored opening is the PC version, which, by the way, the PC version of the original game just came out on GOG.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's the first PC port of Resident Evil 1 since '97.
That's awesome. GOG is great. I just bought the first Diablo and the expansion on there. I love GOG.
Yeah, the port came out, I think it was actually today.
Oh,
and they are also going to be porting 2 and 3 in PC versions.
Huh. I'm actually, when I play through 2 and 3, I'll probably pick it up for that then. That's cool.
Yeah. And the one other thing the director's cut does is give you the advanced mode, which adds a kind of an item randomizer to the game. It mixes up the item locations for many of the items, not to a point that you could get soft block, but you can't find handgun bullets where you are used to anymore.
That's kind of cool.
That when I played my last playthrough, that was the one thing that kept me going, just having the advanced mode, because I have played the first one so many times. The advanced mode gave me at least some bit of new content, kind of.
Yeah, that's nice. That's what I like about Zero, actually. I like the side modes to it, like the Wesker mode, and what was the other one? You have to go around killing
the Leech
leeches.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Oh, the Wesker mode is so good.
Yeah, those are great. Yeah, everywhere I see about Resident Evil, people do hate on Zero, but I don't think it's that. I would rather play Zero than the original, but I still like the original. Don't get me wrong.
And for years, I actually preferred the original over the remake, but after playing the first one for like 20 years at this point, I have started to favor the remake a lot more. And
Right.
Zero, going back to that for a little bit, Zero is still one of my favorite Resident Evil games of all time. And I actually only played it the first time like 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Which is weird when I have played every other game already in the series.
I'm sure there's quite a few Resident Evil fans that never played Zero. I'm sure you're not the only one until recently.
Yeah. Many seem to just go from... Actually, nowadays, many just start from 2, because the first one is so alien to them nowadays.
Right. Also, I was thinking, what do you think of the Resident Evil 5 Lost in Nightmares DLC? Because
I enjoy it for what it is. It's quite short and kind of...
yeah,
When you have played it through a few times, it starts showing kind of a lack of content. But I enjoy
definitely.
it. And
Yeah,
I
I was-
like the camera angle Easter egg it has.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of Resident Evil 5, and it was my first Resident Evil game. And now playing 1, I'm like, oh, well, that Lost in Nightmares DLC is clearly a, little throwback. So I thought that
Yeah,
was
they
pretty cool.
really like using the same mansion foyer for many other things. I think the ship in Revelations also has the same kind of foyer in the in the cruise ship, and there are some other titles in the series that use the same one as well.
Yeah, I mean, even like Salazar's Castle, there's one of the main rooms kind of have that feel to it too.
Yeah. They really like to throw back to that one.
I mean, it's a good layout,
It is.
and it's, iconic.
It is. It really is.
But
But at this point,
honestly-
I think the series is using ships more than mansions.
But that's also a cool layout too. I even, a lot of people don't like that ship section in Resident Evil 7, but I don't know. I kind of enjoy it.
I like it too.
It's a nice little break in the gameplay.
Yep.
I always like when the Resident Evil games give you like, all right, you're gonna have a little side story, because why not?
Yeah. I when reading some of the concept art things in Village, it was kind of a shame that they had cut a lot of the things they were planning for it, because that game was also supposed to have those kind of separating sections from the main game where you play as a different character.
That'd have been cool.
Yeah.
Except you just get the ending where you're Chris.
Yeah. The same with 7, technically, with Not a Hero DLC.
Right, yeah. I've the only DLC I played for 7 was 21. So
I love 21.
me too. I was addicted to it for a while. Me and my wife were just playing it. It's so good.
The Survival Plus difficulty was a hassle, but I enjoyed, even though I had to restart it multiple times. I never,
Right.
got tired of it.
Yeah, it was my game for a while where I was like, oh, alright, I have like 30 minutes to do something. I'm gonna play some 21. Resident Evil.
I wish they had published that as a physical card game. It would have been cool.
That would have been cool, yeah. Well, I might as well ask, what got you into Resident Evil? Like, when did you get into it?
That's kind of a long story, but the short of it is, my friend back in elementary school, I was like 10 maybe, he wanted to show me a cool game his parents got for him from, I don't even know what country they had been visiting. But the game, Resident Evil 3 had not been published in Finland yet, and that was the first time I ever saw anything of that game. Because
That's
usually back in the 90s and the early 20s, the early 2000s, games were very slow to release in Finland. We usually had to wait like an extra year for everything. But he showed me Resident Evil 3, and the moment Nemesis appears for the first time is eternally like etched into my mind.
That's
and
awesome.
that kind of just stuck with me. And I had to like bike a long road from that guy's home back to my own home, and every time like those dark nights, I was
Right.
I was riding my bike. I was afraid. The little 10-year-old me was afraid that the nemesis would jump out of the bushes to get me.
I had that same problem with one of my friends. You know, I'd go over there and play horror games, and I'd have to walk home in the middle of the night. Like, man. But that's awesome. Yeah, mine is my parents bought me Resident Evil 2 on the Nintendo 64, and they didn't realize how violent it was. And then,
Oh God.
and then it ended up like terrifying me. It scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. And then they took it and locked it away, and I got it back. I remember finding it like years later. But it's crazy thinking about being terrified of those Nintendo 64 zombies.
Yeah, true. I was a wimpy kid too. Like I couldn't by myself. I could not play war games. Like I couldn't play Medal of Honor because it
Really?
scared me that the enemies were shooting at me. I was more when I was a kid. I was more accustomed to like platformers and stuff. But that wasn't even when I first played Resident Evil. Like Resident Evil 4 was the first actual game I played and beat. But the memory of having seen Resident Evil 2 and he also Resident Evil 3 and he also had 2. The memory of that was so deep in me that when 4 appeared, I just had to buy it no matter what.
Yeah, 4 is amazing. I remember playing 4 as a kid, and that also scared me because I had like the demo disc on GameCube where you play through like the first village section, and I remember playing that so many times.
I didn't even know GameCube had demo discs.
Yeah, I think it was like a permit. I don't remember how I got it, but it was its own disc, and the only thing on the disc was that Resident Evil demo.
I wonder how rare that is nowadays.
I bet
I'm looking
it is
at the
rare.
shelf behind me because I already have like multitude of random Resident Evil promo demos in my collection.
Hell yeah. You got the chainsaw controller?
I have both the PS2 and GameCube.
That's awesome. Have you actually used it for gameplay?
Not for Resident Evil, but me and my friends at one point decided we would like to try Crash Bandicoot, the first one on the PlayStation 2 chainsaw controller. And let me tell you, it's the worst controller I have ever held in my hand. It's absolutely horrendous to use.
Yeah, I heard it's awful to use, but it looks cool.
We could never beat the game. We got stuck at the one of the bridge levels where you have to jump between little planks. And
those bridge levels. Oh, horrible.
It's hard with a regular controller, but the
Right.
chainsaw controller just made it even more hard.
That's the only reason when I was a kid I never beat Crash 1 was because of those bridge levels.
Yeah, that was a hassle.
Even as an adult, I'm like, what am I doing? How do I do this?
They're hard even in the remake.
Yeah, that's the last time I played it. But all right, let's get into the game.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Resident Evil 1.
Yeah. So it's 1998, and the game opens up in Raccoon Forest, and you are Alpha Team. And well, at the beginning, you get to pick between Jill and Chris, and I usually pick Jill because the inventory space.
Also makes the game go faster on subsequent playthroughs.
And I'd rather have Barry than Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing against Rebecca, but Barry is Barry.
Yeah.
So you're searching for Bravo Team, and there's reports of people getting attacked in the mountains and people seeing like creatures, and you come across a downed helicopter, and you get a scene of zombie dogs, and this whole scene's a live action cutscene, and it's amazing. Like
back in the day when FMV cutscenes, full motion video, whatever, but those were the days.
Oh yeah. And those actors, they're acting their asses off. They're doing it. But you guys, I think a couple of your people get killed in this scene by the dogs, maybe.
Joseph
really
Frost is the only one. He's the bandana guy. He's the only one who gets killed.
Okay. Yeah. And then
your helicopter pilot just F's off.
Right. And y'all run from the dogs and you get to a mansion. And depending who you are, if you're Jill, you get there with Barry, yourself, and Wesker, I think.
Yeah.
And with Chris, you get there with Wesker and
just Jill, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, because Jill is with you, and then you find her gun, because Chris doesn't even start with the gun.
Yeah, and then you meet Rebecca later on.
Yeah. So I'm kind of mostly following Jill's, but Wesker tells you and Barry to go find Chris, and then he heads off to do his own thing. And you go to the dining room, and Barry finds a puddle of blood and tells you to continue on while he investigates it. And, like, you could just leave him sitting there investigating this puddle of blood forever if you want.
He's really interested in that puddle.
He is.
He just wants to be sure it's not Chris's.
Yeah.
Because he somehow knows how to differentiate Chris's blood from this random puddle.
Barry's just he's just like that. He has skills.
Yes, he does.
So you leave the dining room and you get to a hallway and you turn the corner and you get the famous first zombie scene where he's eating on, I can't remember, was it Kenneth, I think?
Yeah, Kenneth J. Sullivan.
Yeah, and, you know, the zombie turns and you see half his face, it's all messed up, and then you gotta run away. And I remember this scene, you know, scaring me as a kid. Now it's just like, I don't know. I think I did get scared at one point while playing this game. I think I wrote it in my notes, but I was just walking through a hallway, and then one of the kids did something real loud outside the door. It scared the shit out of me.
I thought that was going to be the dog part.
I think that's where I was when that happened, actually.
Yeah.
But even though I haven't played the game, I knew those dogs were going to jump through that window already because, you know, a lot of stuff gets spoiled for you for these classics.
Yeah, usually the two things that used to get people were the head turner zombie at the beginning and the dogs.
Yeah. Oh, one thing that did get me that I had no idea about is, you know, if you try to go leave the mansion, I thought it was just going to say, hey, you can't leave, there are dogs out there. But you get a little cutscene where you open the door a little bit and a horrible looking zombie dog like gets halfway through the door. And
that's a good scene.
Yeah, I think that might have actually got me because I did not expect that.
They were really evil putting that in there.
Yeah. So you run from the zombie and you can run back to Barry and he blows its head off. Hell yeah. Then you two head back to the lobby to report this to Wesker, and of course he's gone. And then Barry runs off to find him, leaving us to explore. And, you know, he gives us the lockpick and calls us the master of unlocking.
As you do.
Classic line. And yeah, here's where you can run around the mansion a bit. You probably know the mansion layout like the back of your hand at this point.
You would think so, but every single time I play Resident Evil 1, I'm still looking for the keys because I never remember where any key is or where they go to.
Yeah, me too. And I don't know. I never bother to look at the map. Like, I don't want to open my inventory and go up to the map. I can figure this out. But what doesn't help is the door cutscenes.
Oh, yeah. They are actually cut in the PC version. Or, well, they still exist, but you can skip them.
That's nice.
It's a nice quality of life improvement.
Because there's nothing worse than getting lost and, like, did I go to the store or not? I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to watch this scene and find out. But, yeah, I got lost so much. There's a couple parts specifically where I got really lost.
Did you know they took the door opening animation from one of their previous games?
Really? Do you know what game that was?
Yeah, it was Sweet Home on the NES.
I'll have to check that out. That's
yeah, the Resident Evil, the first one, was kind of supposed to be a spiritual successor to this Sweet Home horror game on the NES. One of the few horror games on the platform, actually.
Yeah, there's
And
not much.
actually, also one of my favorite games of all time. It's a really good RPG, a horror RPG.
Did it like never make it out of Japan?
No. It's
Okay.
it's actually a movie tie-in to a movie called Sweet Home, which is also a pretty fun movie.
All right, I'm gonna check this game out.
I do recommend it.
Okay, cool. Maybe we could talk about it sometime.
I would love to. I love that game.
Hell yeah. At this point, I went and got the wooden emblem from the dining room, and one thing I learned on this playthrough is you can just loot Bravo Team's body for like ammo.
Oh yeah, poor Kenneth.
Yeah,
He had so much ammo left, and he gets killed by one zombie.
yeah. I think you could find like 2 or 3 clips on him.
Yeah.
So then I went to the piano room and played the old Moonlight Sonata, which I know comes back a lot in the series.
Yeah, it's when Chris tries to play that, it's just sad.
It is, yeah. Rebecca's like, okay, let me take care of this for you.
Did you actually play both playthroughs, or just Jill?
I played both.
Okay.
Yeah, I played Jill's twice and Chris's once.
Oh, you really went into it.
Yeah, it was a short game, so I was like, I have time, I'll play it twice.
Yeah, it's not too long.
Plus, I wanted to see the good ending and bad ending, so I went back. Yeah. So you play that and it opens a secret room, and you replace the golden emblem with the wooden emblem you got. Or else you get, stuck in there and you can't leave without it. Yeah, then you can go back to the dining room and put the golden emblem in above the fireplace and get the shield key. Also, I like that you can examine everything in the game and like it will change what the item name is. Like
that's something that I wish more games nowadays did.
There's
random text blurbs about random chair.
Yeah, everything you examine, like, even sometimes you'll examine something in the corner and it'll be like, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Thanks for the info. Oh, so at this point I went to the room where you have to push the staircase up to get the map. How do you feel about the physics of moving stuff in this game? Because I messed up with it a lot, pushing things where I didn't mean to push them. It's a little touchy.
I honestly don't remember how much it bothered me back in the day, if it ever bothered me, but nowadays it's kind of just, I don't know, second nature.
Right, yeah.
It just feels right, but it only feels right because I've played so much of these games.
Yeah. Also, you can move a crate here just to get to a little room with, like, there's not really much in it. There's a zombie, and you can see, like, sculptures and art in the background, and there's ink ribbons. So, a lot of little areas you can explore.
The remake has a survival item, like a self-defense knife, maybe?
Okay, that'd be cool. Putting something else in there. Yeah,
the ink ribbon is kind of pointless at a certain point in the game.
Yeah,
so many of them.
You can't stab zombies when they grab you in this one, can you?
Like when they are lying on the ground?
No, when they're like grabbing onto you and like you use your knife to get out of their grapple.
No.
I didn't think so. Okay, is that in the remake?
Not in the remake. You have these self-defense items that are like flashbangs, daggers, whatever. And for example, the dagger, it's a one-time use. You can have multiple daggers, and you just stab the zombie with it and push them away, and you lose the dagger.
Okay, I know what happened. I was confusing it Resident Evil 0 because you can do all that stuff in 0. The defense stuff. Yeah. Okay.
But in the DS version, you actually have a chance to have a first-person mode where you can swipe at the zombies when they are coming at you.
I actually kind of want to check out this DS game. Isn't that called like Deadly Silence or something?
Yeah, Deadly Silence. I think it is the best version of Resident Evil 1, like the original. It has so many quality of life improvements.
You like it even more than like the GameCube remake?
I'm not sure if I would say it's better than the remake, but it's the best out of the versions of the original game.
Okay. Yeah.
And it also has a quick knife button, so you don't have to have the knife in your inventory ever.
Oh, that's so nice.
It has many quality of life improvements.
That's why I always agree with remakes. I know some people get tired of them, but whatever adds quality of life and game preservation is cool.
Yeah, that's true. It's just too bad the DS version will forever stay as a DS version.
Right. But also, I'm the guy that will go buy Last of Us after it releases for the 10th time.
Yeah.
I'm part of the problem. Next I went to that hallway where the two dogs jumped through the window. I expected one, but the second one actually caught me off guard. I remember as a kid having more trouble with the dogs. Maybe they're more difficult in 2. I don't know. But pretty much, once you shoot them, they go down. You just have to shoot them again and they get up.
Yeah, and you can pretty much stun lock them with the knife.
Yeah, and as they have your volume on, you can hear them off screen if you hit them or not. That's kind of nice.
But anytime you miss them, it becomes a problem when they start jumping around you.
Mm-hmm. You have to get angle on them again.
Yeah, even though I don't think the dogs are too bad to kill in the games, every time I hear the clickety-clack of their nails on the floor, I get chills.
My gosh, shit. It's right around the corner.
Yeah.
So also you can move cabinets here and stuff to get ammo, which is another cool thing. Just to always explore. As Jill, you can get the shotgun and you take it, and on your way out, the ceiling starts coming down, and right at the nick of time, Barry comes in and saves the day. And I love that when he opens the door, Jill is still so slow to leave. No one has any urgency.
Yeah, the door is still quite a ways from her head at that point, so it's not like it's completely going to crush her. I'm pretty sure when it hits the already open door, the splinters would do a lot of damage.
True.
Which is never addressed in the game. The door remains open, and then the door is just gone.
Oh shit, that's right. That's awesome. And then he says, you were almost a Jill sandwich.
The classic.
And he asks him what he's... Oh, good.
Sorry. Actually, in Dead Rising, there is a sandwich bar called Jill Sandwiches.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I like how Capcom just keeps referencing their own games.
They're good for that. Dead Rising is actually a series I want to get into. I played the first one a long time ago, and now I want to actually play through it for the show. Because I want to get into the new ones, too. They look pretty good.
Good luck with that. The first one is really hard.
Yeah, I remember when I got a 360 as a kid, Dead Rising was one of the first games I got for it. And, yeah, I never really did the story stuff as a kid. I remember just walking around beating zombies.
Yeah.
Because those bosses are hard. If you don't level up, I mean, you're supposed to die in that game, really. But
yeah, and the first time I ever played Dead Rising, I really wanted to save every civilian I found, and that's when I got stuck at the very beginning, because you literally cannot save everyone.
Yeah, you got that time limit is... it's so pressure... a lot of pressure.
I'm just glad Resident Evil rarely ever uses any time limit kind of stuff.
And when they do, at the end of this, they give you 2 minutes to escape, but that's way more than enough time.
Yeah.
I think I got out in 30 seconds or something.
Yeah. The only games that ever revolve around just a plain time limit are Outbreak and Survivor 2.
Oh, yeah, I never played the Outbreak games or Survivor. So.
In Outbreak, it has a reason why you have a time limit, and in Survivor 2, it's just a 45-minute action blaster where the light comes out. That's why it's time limit.
Oh, Survivor or light gun games?
Excuse me?
You said the Survivor games are light gun games?
Yeah, the 3 Survivor games in the series. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to check those out. I know I want to play. I played Umbrella Chronicles a long time ago, and I enjoyed that. I like those Wii railgun or light gun games.
Yeah. Actually, the Survivor games are not rail shooters; they are just light gun games.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So you have still free movement, but you are
weird.
Supposed to at least use a light gun, but you can just play the games with a controller, which is what I do.
That's an interesting concept. Huh.
Survivor 2 is probably the weakest of them.
Who do you play as in those?
The first one, you play as Ark Thompson. He's one of Leon's friends.
Oh, okay.
According to the game. You never see him again in the entire series, but he is Leon's friend, according to the game.
One of his closest friends that Leon forgot about.
And the first Survivor game is even mentioned in Zero, because the opening blurb of Zero mentions before Raccoon City, before Sheena Island, and Sheena Island is the location of Survivor.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. Alright.
Huh. Survivor 2, you play as Claire, because it's Claire's dream after Code Veronica.
It's a dream?
Yeah, the entirety of Survivor 2 is just Claire's dream, which explains many of the things that would otherwise be very non-canon.
Huh. That's so weird. Weird direction. But why not?
And Dead Aim, which is the last Survivor game, is a completely original game taking place in 2002 with completely original characters.
Is it canon?
Yeah, all the Survivor games are.
Okay. Huh. There's so much Resident Evil. I love it.
Yeah, I think the only games that are not canon out of the very storyline-based games are Gaiden and
Right.
Operation Raccoon City.
Oh yeah, how about Operation Raccoon City? Sure, I'm not the only one.
I enjoyed it. I had fun with it.
Yeah, I plan on playing that. Oh, let me get to it. I wonder, do you know if the servers are still online for that?
They should be. It's not too many years when I play. I think it's like 2 years since I played it with my friend last.
Plus it's on Steam too. Yeah, I'm gonna get the Steam version. So what did we do last? Oh yeah, Jill Sandwich.
The classic.
Yeah.
Back to the classics.
Yeah, then it gets weird and you're like, what were you doing here? And like, oh, I had something I wanted to check on, and you don't really question it. I also love when there's like a crawling zombie. They'll grab your ankles and you just punt their head off. Like,
oh yeah, the head just goes flying through the air.
Yeah, it's so comical. It's hilarious. Yeah, then I found my second safe room, and then, you got some goodies in your box, like get some extra ammo. And do you try to kill all the zombies, or do you just, run around them?
In Resident Evil 1, I mostly just kill everything. You have plenty of ammo, and
yeah, me too.
The hallways are quite tight. You can go around the zombies, but I would just rather not have them there, slowing me down.
Yeah. So at this point, I went to the painting puzzle room, where you have to hit the switches under the paintings from youngest to oldest.
That one was horrible in the unofficial NES version of Resident Evil 1, because it's completely, well, it's now been translated, but the version I played was completely in Chinese. Thankfully, the order of the paintings is still the same.
That's good.
Otherwise, I would never have beaten that.
How do the pictures look on that version?
They are all just like a few lines of pixels. You can't actually see the paintings. It just gives you the description of the painting, but the description is in Chinese.
Oh man, I'm glad you told me about these strange Resident Evil games I never heard about. I'm definitely going to give those their own episodes now.
Yeah, there's like 12 versions of Resident Evil 1 out there.
It's crazy. So yeah, you do this painting puzzle. It's not difficult, and you get the star emblem. Then I also like you can like actually blow the zombies' arms off and stuff, like with the shotgun, or probably even with the pistol too, maybe.
Yeah, because I never played games like this, like when I was a kid, I just watched other people play them, so I'm not actually really knowledgeable on how many games actually had this level of mutilation of your enemies.
And I think it was an early PS1 game, 1996. I feel
Yeah.
like, yeah. So, I don't think a lot did. Like, you had games like Medal of Honor and Turok where enemies would react where you hit them, but I don't know if you could actually, like, blow their limbs off.
Yeah, it was... I would assume it was very brutal for its time.
Yeah. That makes me wonder what the remake looks like. I bet it looks pretty good. I heard the remake stands up graphic-wise. Like, it still looks perfect.
It does, and when they released the HD version, they added a lot of 3D textures just to give more depth to the background, so it looks even better in HD.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's the version of Zero I played, was that HD remake they put out. And it looked great.
Yeah,
I assume they did the same thing for that.
Yeah, the remaster of Zero is it's about as good as the Resident Evil remake remaster. God, it's getting so confusing at this point.
I know. And Capcom's nowhere near done.
And when they make a remake of the remake, eventually...
Oh my god. The remake of the remake in VR.
Yeah. Oh no. Though Capcom isn't a stranger to very long game name.
Right.
Looking at Street Fighter 2 and all its turbo massive ultra editions.
Yeah, I'm playing Street Fighter 3 Third Strike right now for the show. It's the third It's the third Street Fighter 3 game. It's like,
yeah.
Crazy.
They really like re-releasing their games.
Yeah, I mean, people buy them.
Yep, that's true. I'm also part of the problem with my many versions of Resident Evil.
Yep, I mean, if you're a fan of Resident Evil, can't really complain about more Resident Evil.
Yeah, that's true.
But, people will still get mad. You said you didn't like Village, right? I mean,
oh god, you are going to get me cancelled here.
I don't think that's a very strong opinion. I feel like it is a different.
Many people who enjoy the Resident Evil series would lynch me for not liking Village. I have seen this on the Resident Evil Reddit. I have heard my fair share of cuss words.
What? People on Reddit never had a problem. They're sweet.
Yeah, Reddit, the cornerstone of the internet.
You're right. I don't know. I think it's crazy when people try to lynch you for that shit. Like, people have their own preferences. Let people like what they like and dislike what they dislike.
And with Village, it's the newest main title in the series, if we are not counting the remake of 4. So it's still like people are, I don't know, still in the honeymoon period with the game, I guess.
Right, yeah. Do you play much VR stuff?
No, I don't have any VR systems. I don't like the whole, you have to get a VR system for very few games and another VR system for different games, because every VR game is spread around PlayStation VR and Oculus and whatever.
And every kind is like, $1 million.
Yeah, that too. And I'm pretty sure my PC would blow up if I tried to connect one of those.
Yeah, I got lucky, and my wife's parents spoiled a kid, so one of the kids got a MetaQuest 2, and of course they played it for like 1 month, and now they don't want anything.
Yours.
Yep, now it's mine, and I got to play. I bought Resident Evil 4 VR on it, the original version.
Yeah, I hear it's good.
It's one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had, and it actually makes the game terrifying.
I would assume.
Like the
Having
Verdugo.
Ganados running at you with pitchforks.
Which I think it's Verdugo, the boss that you're in the sewers with, and it like
the one you have to freeze.
Yeah, that boss in VR was, oh man,
that's like Alien.
I was like screaming. It was like 2 a.m. when I was playing it because I only played it at night, and yeah, I woke people up.
Yeah, I would assume that would happen to me as well. But I'm very very good with horror games. I don't even remember when the last time a horror game would have actually scared me. But when I keep saying this, I'm pretty sure if I ever played a VR horror game, it would probably get to me.
Yeah, I mean it's such a weird feeling.
Yeah.
I'm a bitch when it comes to any jump scares. Any jump scare will get me. Like, I was playing Layers of Fear and the phone rang and fucking scared the hell out of me. And my kid was playing it with me and he just looks at me like, really? I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, I've probably played hundreds of horror games, so any jump scare at this point is just like a,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I love horror.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure VR would make a complete difference, but again, with how spread out they are, just not my cup of tea, sadly.
Maybe one day when they drop in price and you can actually get your money's worth out of it.
Yeah, that's true. Hopefully one day.
Yeah. So, yeah, after the painting room, I went upstairs and I found the botany book, which explains herbs. I never really mixed them unless I needed to cure some poison. Which
really,
I mean, I never really. There was so many herbs because there were so many rooms. There's a couple rooms that have like 6 each in them, and I'll just pick them up and eat them. But yeah, the first aid sprays really took me like just where I needed to go.
Did you never use the red herbs then?
I don't think so, actually.
Huh.
And what the red herbs? What do they do?
If you combine red and green, you get full health.
Okay, right. Yeah. Yep. No, I was just popping singular herbs, which probably isn't the best way to do it.
Well, I mean, if you are not taking any hits and you have a surplus of herbs, then why not?
Yeah, I mean, the only things that really messed me up were the hunters. Whenever I turn a corner and there's one there, I always get hit a couple times.
I remember hunters never having been a problem for me. Then I streamed Resident Evil 1 like 2 years ago, and for some reason I had a lot of problems with hunters. I guess it's when people are looking at you doing that, and
exactly.
It somehow just makes you underperform.
Yeah, I mean, they hit you a lot in a row. Like, they can get some combos on you.
Yeah. They can pretty much stun lock you, but if you have the shotgun, you can just keep them afar.
Right, yeah, shotgun's amazing. I love the shotgun in this game.
It's really good.
It feels amazing, especially when it blows a zombie's head off with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it really ups the gore in the game.
Yeah. Then I went to the main hall on the second floor and ran in the berry. And Jill's like, "There's something wrong with this house." Like, no. You sure?
It can't be.
And then, y'all decide to split up. And he gives you acid rounds. And you ask him, what about you? Because, he obviously needs the acid rounds. And he pulls up his Magnum. He's like, "I have this." He loves his Magnum.
Yeah, it's especially... What was the quote? It's especially effective against living things or something like that.
Yeah. What did he call it? Wouldn't that be... Isn't that what
it was something effective against living things, which is hilarious. Like, of course, if you are going to shoot something with a Magnum, it's going to die.
It's going to be very effective. Okay. Then I went up to the second floor of the dining room, and you get to push that statue off. And that's where you get the blue jewel. You get to this room where there's a staircase, and it's such a weird layout. You have to go around the staircase, around a railing to get to it. It's so inconvenient.
Yeah, it's like good luck living in that dungeon.
Right. And, there's like 3 zombies in this room walking around. But
yeah,
I love this.
You can actually you can actually use the statue you push off to kill one of the zombies with a knife because it will get stuck on the statue.
That's great. Yeah. The knife's actually pretty effective, really.
Surprisingly, yeah.
I just wish you could still cut them as they're getting up. You have to wait till they're fully up.
Yeah, the iframes are not good.
Yeah. So you end up getting to a little garden area, and there's a big plant blocking the way. So one of the safe rooms have chemical. So you have to go grab that and dump it in there. And this room has a lot of herbs, so this is your health room.
Yeah, that will sustain you for a long while.
Yeah. Then I went to the cat statue, put the blue jewel in, and you get the wind crest. And you can also go to a bedroom and find the Keeper's Diary, but before you open it, you get jumped by a closet zombie. Which, it's like the only time something like this really happens. I mean, I guess the dogs jumping out of the window are kind of similar, but
yeah. Yeah. What about the? No. Well, I was wondering about the balcony with the crows, but I think the crows are already there.
I don't think they start attacking you though until you grab the bazooka, as they call it.
Yeah, true. Also, if you mess up the painting puzzle, the crows will attack you.
That's right, yeah. And, yeah, those little bastards are kind of hard to hit.
They are. One of my friends who played through the series for the first time a couple of years ago, he had a lot of problem with every single flying enemy.
I mean, that's the most difficult part of Zero for me, is the bat boss.
Oh, yeah. And one of the achievements is like... kill 10 or something bats.
But they stun lock you so easy.
Yeah, but with Wesker mode, you can just use Wesker's laser eyes to kill all of them.
Oh, right, yeah. So after you kill the closet zombie, you can find a diary, and this diary is pretty cool. It talks about someone who's tasked with feeding these creatures that look like skinless gorillas, and he would throw live pigs to them. And they would rip the pig's legs off and disembowel them while they were alive. And they ended up giving the guy a space. He calls it a spacesuit to wear because it was an accident in the lab. And he started getting a swollen, itchy back. And they bandaged it up and said he didn't need the spacesuit anymore. And then he got a big blister on his foot to the point where he was like hobbling. And he decided not to feed the dogs for some type of revenge, and then some escaped. And then he started feeling itchy everywhere. And he tried to leave, but no one would let him leave the facility. And they shot a researcher who tried to leave. And then he started to scratch himself, and rotten skin came off. And then, the next page says, fever gone, but itchy, hungry, eat doggy food, itch, itch. Scott came, ugly face, so I killed him. Tasty, itchy, tasty. And
that's a very classic one.
Yeah, because I didn't know this was in the game, but I've heard like the phrase "itchy, tasty" before.
And they even used Spencer had that same diary on his nightstand in Lost in Nightmares. It was so good. He had that goddamn diary delivered to him wherever his new mansion was in Resident Evil 5, so he could read this fucked up diary entry.
And can you read the diary entry in 5?
Yeah, it's the exact same.
That's
it's
probably
on Spencer's nightstand for some reason.
Yeah, that's the first game I played, so that's probably where I first read it. That's cool. That's interesting. He loves it. Sick bastard.
Yeah. And the skinless gorillas mentioned there, I'm not sure if they may relate to the earlier version of Resident Evil 2 that never released. called Resident Evil 1.5 nowadays, because that game had a enemy type that was kind of like a skinless gorilla.
Huh. Okay.
But the entire enemy was scrapped from Resident Evil 2 as well. So,
is there a playable version of that 1.5?
Yeah. The unfinished, I think it was like 75% complete or something. The unfinished version was leaked years ago. Then there are multiple fan modded versions that you can actually beat.
Great. Now I'm gonna have to play that.
That one as well. Put it on the list.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you can go to the balcony and find Kenneth's body, and it's being pecked to death. Well, he was pecked to death by crows. And it's pretty gruesome looking. Oh, Forrest, right.
Because I remember the thing when Jill finds him, and it's like, she's looking into the forest beyond, Forrest's Speyer on the balcony. She's looking into the forest and just says, "It's forest. It's awful," and that makes me laugh every time. It's like she's just looking at the forest, like, "Oh God,
ew, it's a forest." That's funny. That's it. So yeah, he has the bazooka, which in other games it would be called like just a grenade launcher, right? I think. Yeah. But you can switch rounds with this. You got like incendiary rounds, you got acid and explosive, and this thing is awesome. Like it one hits hunters with the explosive rounds, at least I know.
Yeah, and Chris also misses this weapon.
So, yeah, I think he only has ammo on his body or something for Chris.
Oh yeah, true. Handgun ammo.
Yeah, and then the crows when they attack, they're so loud.
Yeah, I just ran away every time when the crows started moving. Actually, there was just recently. I'm getting sidetracked again, but this is what I do.
That's all right.
When I talk about this.
That's what we do here. Every episode, sidetracking happens. It's all
right. There was just recently a fan translation of a short story that only released in Japan in a short story collection. That is a official Resident Evil side story kind of thing. It was like 26 pages, called The Black Winged Resident, and it tells the story of what happened in Raccoon City and how everything went, all zombie apocalypse in the town, from the point of view of one of the crows that you see on the balcony.
What?
It's actually really good. I really enjoy it.
I'll have to check that out too. That sounds really interesting. And you said it's only like 26 pages? A little short story?
Yeah. I can actually link it to you after this.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I want to check it out.
It's pretty fun. It was like released. The fan translation was released like a week ago.
Oh, hell yeah. And you said it's like official?
Yeah, it was part of a story contest Capcom held back in the 90s, where they published 3 stories that people wrote for them. Like, it was a contest, and the 3 winners were published as Resident Evil titles. 2 were published as books that are only available in Japanese and German for some reason.
Huh.
And one of them was this short story that was completely lost in time and only found recently.
That's awesome. So, yeah, next I used Armor Key to get to this room with 2 movable statues. We have to move them over grates, and there's a switch. And, I got killed this first time.
Oh god, no.
Yeah, because gas fills the room and kills you.
I hope you had saved.
Oh yeah, I did. I save more than I should.
Yeah, at least the game gives you enough ink ribbons to do that.
Oh yeah, there's plenty. Yeah, and you get the Suncrest for doing this. And then I went down and found Richard. And he was on the ground and he was dying. At first he says there's demons in this house.
Terrible demons.
Yeah. And then Jill was like, "What kind of demon got you?" And
it wasn't a demon; it was a snake.
Yeah, it's so good. So he's poisoned, and you can go back to one of the safe rooms, and there's serum in it, and then you can go bring it back to him. But no matter what, he still dies. But I think if you give him the serum, you get the radio.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Sadly, in the original, there is no way to save him at this point.
Yeah. Or do things go differently in the remake?
You can save him momentarily after that point. Then he has multiple different ways he can get himself killed.
Awesome.
And there is actually a game where it's shown how Richard got bitten by the snake in Umbrella Chronicles, one of the rail shooters. There is they have these little side stories that take place in between the games, and one of those side stories is how Rebecca got from the mansion in Zero to the Spencer mansion, met up with Richard, and in that little short story, she and Richard are running around the mansion and end up fighting the snake boss, the Yawn, and Richard gets bitten.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I really like how the Chronicles games add these small, explanatory story sections.
I still have my Wii. I was thinking about, I was gonna get I was gonna play the PS3 versions of those, but I might actually get those for the Wii. Unless, well, are there any differences?
No,
do you know?
The PS3 version is just in HD. That's the only difference.
So there's no added stuff. Okay.
No. Unless you count the trophy support.
Nah. I used to care about that stuff, but now the only games I want to play through on the hardest difficulty are horror games.
Yeah.
I'm never going to play another Call of Duty on veteran. I'm done.
Pretty much the only games I ever care about trophies in are Resident Evil titles.
Yeah, because it's fun to go get everything, and these games are fun to play on the harder difficulties.
Yeah, and they give you the trophies give you a reason to try to play the games a little bit differently every time.
Right, and also if you read the trophies or achievements, you can you can do that. They'll give you little tasks you didn't know you could do.
Though some of them are really evil. In the remake of Resident Evil 1, there is a trophy that wants you to play through the entire game knife only.
I mean, that'd be a fun challenge, but damn.
That's a lot of saving.
Yeah, I know I did, when I was achievement hunting, I did Resident Evil 7 without using the item box more than 3 times. And
yeah, that one I have platinumed, yeah.
Yeah. It was fun. I liked it.
But I never got all the achievements from the DLCs because Ethan Must Die is goddamn evil.
That's when it goes into a roguelike, right? Where everything's all random.
And every single time I get the most horrible items and I can never make it through the night.
That's great. Yeah, I want to play all these DLCs for it. I'm going to get there, but I kind of want to go in order, so it will be a while. But I have this weird thing where I like playing the beginning of a series and going forward, even if they're not related.
It's the same for me. Every time someone tells me you should try this game, which is the 4th game in a series, and I'm like, okay, I will get to it when I find the first 3.
Yeah. I haven't played Witcher 3 yet, and I went and bought Witcher 1, but then I found out they're remaking it, so I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to... Yeah, they're remaking Witcher 1 to have, Witcher 3 gameplay and making it more open world.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so now I'm just going to wait for that. Because I bought, Witcher 1 on sale on Steam for, $1.50.
Oh, yeah, well, that's no money wasted at all.
Yeah, and I played the first little bit of it, and it didn't age well.
Yeah, so I've heard.
Yeah. So, yeah, you get the radio for not saving him, postponing his death by 60 seconds. But
I wonder how much pain he is in at that point.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't feel anything. Well, he sounds like he is.
Yeah, and he's already seeing demons. So.
The demons. But yeah, he dies, and you can loot him for ammo.
As you do for your friends. They don't want you to do that.
Exactly. And then you get a boss fight with Jan. The first boss fight with Jan.
Which you can skip.
Yeah, can't you just run through and grab the medallion and leave?
Yeah.
That's what I did with Chris, but with Jill, I fought him till he left. But when I was Chris, I was like, yeah, I had low ammo with Chris. And it was quite a few times with Chris, I only had my knife.
Did you manage to get out of the room without getting bitten?
I didn't, no.
Yeah.
What happens if you do? If you get out of there not being poisoned, do you just not pass out and get that scene?
Yeah. Resident Evil 1 has a lot of differing sections where things just happen slightly differently depending on what you do.
Oh. Yeah, I got poisoned with Jill and Chris. I was never able to do it without it. He's hard to dodge.
He is, but he is also kind of easy to juke when you kind of know how he moves.
Yeah,
but even when I know how to do it, I still sometimes get it.
Yeah, he looks kind of cool as he's moving around the place. He's like wrapping around certain areas of the attic you're in.
Yeah, he's really well animated.
He really is, yeah. And he has green blood, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used a bazooka here when I was Jill and made him leave. But you get the moon crest here, and as you leave, if you're poisoned, you pass out. And with Jill, someone approaches you and it fades out, and you wake up in one of the safe rooms. But as Chris, Rebecca comes and finds you, and you have to play as her and go get the serum. And yeah, she has a pistol with 15 bullets, and that's all, which is enough to get you there. It's just weird. Nothing really changes. It's just a quick little section where you get to play as Rebecca, and that's cool.
Yeah, Rebecca is one of my favorite female characters in the series, or actually, I would say she is my favorite. The female cast. So it's really fun being able to play as her, at least for a little bit.
Hell yeah. What games does she appear in besides 0 and 1?
None. But she appears a lot in the extended universe. She's in the stage play, which, crazily enough, is canon.
That's amazing.
And she is in 2 of the animated movies, which are also all canon. Yeah,
I need to watch the animated movies. I watched, the Mila Jovovich ones.
That's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, me and my wife had a marathon where we watched them all in a row.
I did the same with my friends. My God, does Paul Anderson somehow drop the ball so hard with the last one? Completely forgot how his own story goes.
Yeah.
Just keeps retconning everything in the last one. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, at that point you're just watching it for the pew-pews.
Yeah. I enjoyed the first one and a little bit of Retribution because it had so many of the old characters coming back.
Yeah.
Even though Leon canonically had died in his movie series, but I guess he got better.
Yeah, why not? Did you like Welcome to Raccoon City?
It was okay. I just think they should not have tried to mangle 2 games into one movie.
Yeah, I agree.
It should have been just Resident Evil 1.
I was happy that it was closer to the games than, the Paul Anderson movies.
Yeah, but it was still kind of a letdown. Like, I just wish they had stuck with 1 game and not making 2 into 1.
That would have been nice, yeah.
You could tell a good story just with Resident Evil 1, Mansion in the Woods. That's such a classic horror location. You really wouldn't have to do much to make it good.
Yeah, and it should have been more horror than it was.
Yeah.
But that's
laughed out loud when burning zombie walk through the open doors of the Raccoon Police Station.
Yeah. And if you gave it to an actual horror director, like, I feel like it's such an easy setup.
I just wish they had made that Romero script into a movie.
Did Romero have a Resident Evil script?
Yeah, George Romero made the original Resident Evil script, but it was crap.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
huh.
the whole script is available online, and they are actually making an official documentary about that script, which should be releasing maybe this year, next year. I honestly have no idea. I just know that the official documentary is coming out.
And did it follow the game?
To an extent. Some of the characters were a bit different, like Barry was African American, I think.
Okay.
But not, like, much.
Hmm.
Like, story-wise, the movie was... It had its differences, but it's the most... the closest to the games that I have seen.
Even
at
more...
least way more than either of the movies we already have based on what you mentioned.
Afterlife was pretty close to the games.
It's one of the worst movies I have ever seen. Like, Final Chapter is its own terrible situation, but Afterlife is so bad.
I know, I was a kid when Afterlife came out, and I was, like, and Resident Evil 5 was a game I played a lot as a kid with my other friends, because anytime my friend would come over, we'd be like, let's play Resident Evil 5. It's such a good co-op game.
Which it is.
Yeah. I just remember being excited about the executioner guy. I'm like, oh, yay! But now watching it, I think we watched him like a year ago. It's like, this is so bad.
It doesn't make any logical sense. Like, why did zombies just randomly mutate into Magini from Resident Evil 5, and how did a zombie turn into the executioner? Because all that was happening in the movies before that was just regular zombies. How did that happen?
Yeah, and they're in, like, where were they? Like, they're in Los Angeles, I think, in that movie.
Yeah, and the Magini with their mandibles, they dug underground like moles. Like, what were they smoking?
Oh man,
it's like they just saw like concept art of the game and were like, "Yep, we're gonna do that."
That's probably exactly what happened.
Yeah. And with Romero, I think he had like his secretary or something play through the entirety of Resident Evil 1 and for him, and made notes about it.
That's amazing.
So he at least had the knowledge of the game before going into it.
That's good. He tried.
Yeah, but sadly Capcom decided to go with Anderson, and then we had whatever we had.
I mean, that first movie wasn't horrible. I don't think.
I like the first one.
Yeah.
I think it's a fine horror movie or horror action movie, but still, I think it works fine as its own.
Yeah, and it even, follows the plot a tiny bit.
Yeah, and it was original enough that you could even say that it could have happened in the same universe.
Yeah.
Because it never used any of the original characters. It doesn't even use the Spencer Mansion, just some random mansion.
Yeah. So, alright. We beat Jan for the first time. And you can use your new keys you got to find more stuff. Like, you can go find the lighter, and then you can light the fireplace to get the second map. What else can you do? There's like a room of candles you can light to get some explosive rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I put in the 4 crests and went to the garden. And this place has a bunch of dogs, which, yeah, like you were saying earlier, you can hear them, and you're just like, fuck, where are they?
That's like one of the most iconic sounds from Resident Evil for me, the entire series, just the clack of the nails on the hearthstone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's great. There's like I don't know. There's like 4 or 5 here, I think. Maybe more.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many. At least 3, at the very least.
And then you get to my least favorite thing in the game. Not really, but it's close. These damn cranks.
Oh, God.
These are what I wish I could place on the ground.
Yeah, and then you realize you're out of inventory space at some point and have to go all the way back.
That happened to me in the caves later.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Then when you have to, especially when you have to pick up the flamethrower.
Yep. So you find this crank, and you have to drain this water to get to the guardhouse. And on your way there, little snakes will fall out of the trees and bite at you. I like the sound effect they make too. This little hiss they make when they hit the ground.
I think out of the bazillion times I've played Resident Evil 1, a single time has an adder hit me.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you just don't stop and keep running, I don't think they'll hit you.
Yeah, and I still have no idea how that one time happened. Like, it was just a complete stroke of RNG luck.
Will these guys poison you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not good.
At least there are blue herbs around there.
Right, yeah. And then you get to the guardhouse, and one big reason I want to play the remake is because this is where they add in Lisa Trevor, right?
Yep.
And I know some about her. I've read up on some stuff, and she seems like a really sad, interesting character.
She is, and of course most of her story is told via the files.
Yeah.
Which I think Resident Evil does really well. The files just scattered around just tell so much of a darker story than what the actual game shows you.
Yeah, that's what's good about files. I think that's pretty, like, man, that's how a lot of horror games do it. You get the real fucked up stuff in the files.
Yeah, because that's always, when you start the game, the horrible stuff has already happened, so you just have to read about it.
Right, that's what I like about The Last of Us a lot, is the notes you find.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about Welcome to Raccoon City, is they actually added some Lisa Trevor stuff, which I thought was cool. Which I don't know how it compares to with the games.
Having Lisa in the movies was cool. In Welcome to Raccoon City was cool, but I think she was really underused. Like, you don't even see her after Leon and Claire leave the. Was it Leon and Claire who met her?
Yeah.
So when they leave the place where she was in, was it the orphanage or whatever? Then
yeah,
I don't think you even see her for the remainder of the movie.
I don't think you do, actually. Yeah,
like she just completely phases out of existence. Like,
yeah,
again, they should have just made Resident Evil 1 into a movie, so they could have had a lot of story about Lisa Trevor instead of a few cool scenes.
And right, you feel like that would be the best way to do it too, because that would mean more money for them. There's more room for sequels.
Yeah, and people would have probably rated the movie a lot better than they did if it had been one coherent story instead of the,
right,
somewhat enjoyable but still kind of a jumbled story.
Well, I hope that with the success of Fallout and Last of Us, it will set a new standard for translating video games into movies or shows.
You would hope so, but then we also have at the same time Halo.
Yeah, I haven't seen that at all. I just heard it's not great.
Yeah, a story about a space war where the space war doesn't really happen and Master Chief just, I don't know, has sex a lot.
Yeah, I was like, okay, you get to see Master Chief have sex. Like, that's not what I'm here for.
Where are the aliens?
I want to see aliens blow up, damn it.
Yeah.
So the guardhouse. I like this place a lot. It's you get to see some like living quarters for people, stay, and there's a nice bar room with giant spiders in it. I like that room a lot. I love killing the spiders. I like the way they pop whenever you hit them with your shotgun.
And then they spew those. Did they spew little spiders?
Yeah.
I never kill the spiders. I just they are so warm and fuzzy. I just want to keep them as friends.
The big ones or the small ones? The tiny ones?
The big ones. I never kill them in the room. I just walk around the room and just go away.
That's sweet of you.
Even in Resident Evil 2, I just always leave them alive.
Yeah, when you kill them, they have 50 little babies that come out, and they will attack you, but you can just run from them. You can squish them too.
Also in this room there is that pool table puzzle.
Right, yeah.
And I think it wasn't until maybe a year ago when I for the first time realized what the pool table was used for.
What is it used for?
Is it? I'm already forgetting apparently, but I'm pretty sure it gives you the number combination for the chemical.
Oh, okay,
where
yeah,
you make
it does.
jolt.
Yeah.
And I always just, because the chemical room thing, you can just press the buttons until it goes,
Right.
Is it? It doesn't even have numbers, right? You just had to light the buttons up or something.
Yeah, I don't think they have numbers.
Remembering them.
They're just. I think.
Yeah.
There's just 9 buttons. Yeah, I don't think they're numbered.
Yeah, so you have to light up the entire keypad, but the pool table gives you the buttons you are supposed to press, and I never, until last year, figured out that's what it was for. I always wondered what the pool table was for.
Yeah, it's kind of complicated.
Yeah, but the puzzle itself is surprisingly easy to do, even without any help.
Yeah.
When you are pressing the buttons.
Mm-hmm. It's such a strange puzzle.
It is. They clearly overthought that.
Yeah, this is something you'd find in I feel like this is more of a Silent Hill puzzle.
Yeah. Silent Hill puzzles.
Yeah. Just trying to shove everything in everything until it works. Silent Hill.
Yeah, that one piano puzzle still haunts my dreams.
Also, there's a little hole in the floor here where if you don't cover it with a statue, you'll get grabbed by a plant vine.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's part of Plant 42.
I think so, yeah. You can also find a journal talking about a giant mutated plant killing people and blocking certain places off. Then you can...
The Spencer Mansion really is not a healthy work environment.
It is not, no. It's just not convenient.
Nope. Imagine leaving your car keys at your workplace when you are outside in the parking lot. You're like, oh no.
You
have to go and find the cranks and the gems again.
Gotta go get all 4 crests to get to the guardhouse.
Yeah.
So you end up moving a bookshelf to find a secret ladder to an underground area. And you get this hallway of this dumb box puzzle where
that one.
If
just
you,
pushing the blocks.
Yeah, but you can lock yourself out if you push them the wrong way. But it's just time consuming, really. Why is this here?
Yeah. And then you fudge it up and you have to go out and go back in to reset it.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, then you get to a great room though, and you get to this big open area where the place is flooded and there are sharks swimming around. Neptune. They're pretty easy to avoid though. I remember my second Jill playthrough, I just went straight where I needed to go and I didn't even see the sharks.
Yeah, when you know what you are doing, they can't even get to the screen in time.
Yeah. And you get a weird point of view camera from an early Friday the 13th movie where you see the shark just swimming up to you. They do the same thing with the hunters later.
Yeah.
It's cool though. It's kind of like, oh shit, what's following me though? Especially with the hunter.
They also do that with one zombie in the kitchen area.
Right? Yeah.
They really liked using the first person point of view for those sections.
It's kind of effective. I mean, it kind of even, I think mostly just the hunter one kind of, had me on my toes a little bit. I could imagine playing this when it first came out, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Being like kind of terrifying.
I wonder if they are remnants of, because originally, very, very originally, Resident Evil 1 was supposed to be a first-person shooter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of the original, one of the very old concepts of the game was to have it completely in first person, but that was scrapped quite quickly. I think one screenshot remains that was published in a gaming magazine back in the 90s.
Well, it's probably best they waited till technology got a little better.
Well, they didn't, because they made Survivor.
Oh,
which is basically using the same. I'm pretty sure Survivor is what they made with the scrapped ideas of the first-person Resident Evil 1.
That would make sense. Yeah. I like when you drain the water here. The sharks are just flopping around. I put them out of their misery here.
Yeah, it's always kind of sad to just see them flopping around.
Yeah, it's like, let me just put you out of your misery by blowing you up.
But I have to say, with the remake, they made this area so much more terrifying.
Really? Oh, I bet, yeah. Are the sharks more effective?
They are, and with the room puzzle where you have to press the buttons to drain the water, that's oh boy. You're gonna have fun with that.
Hell yeah. So now you got the last key you need to get to a room back in the guardhouse, and it's a room with a beehive and bees that will chase you. These caught me off guard when I first played. It was so random. Okay, we got wasps.
Giant wasps, hello.
Yeah.
They make a very satisfying crunch sound when you walk over their dead bodies.
They sure do. Yeah, I noticed that after you ran in the Wesker.
Yeah.
So you replace the white book with the red book you found, and then it reveals a secret door. And in here is Plant 42. And, explosive rounds. That's all you need. It looks cool. It looks like a giant, ceiling squid. I don't know. But it's just, flapping around, hanging from the ceiling. After you kill it, it comes back to life and grabs you. And Barry walks in and flamethrowers it, saving you. Being all badass as Barry does.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite Barry scenes. Just randomly coming in with a flamethrower.
I expected
that he conveniently had.
Yeah. So good. It's just how Barry works. He's the man.
Just imagine the workers back in the days of Spencer Mansion not being swarmed by zombies, just going into that room one day and you're like, that's a giant plant growing here. I wonder how this is gonna play out.
Not good. So then you run into Wesker, and he's just shooting some bees, wasps, whatever they are. And he says he's looking for clues, and he has his reasons for disappearing. And he gets all Scooby-Doo here. You tell him you're going to go to the other building and look for clues. And then, this is when you can see the dead bees that Wesker was shooting, and you can squish them by walking over them. Let's see, what's next? Right, back to the mansion.
I think the bees are actually called, halberds or something, at least.
Probably, they all have fancy names.
Yeah. Except the adders, they are just adders.
Right, yeah. So you get back to the mansion, and as you're leaving, you get a point of view of a hunter following you, 2 rooms before. And then it enters the room you're in. And, they look like giant murdery frogs. They're reptile type things that stand on 2 legs.
I love Hunters. I love all iterations of Hunters. I just wish they still use the enemy type.
Yeah, they kind of got replaced by Lickers.
Momentarily, Hunters are way more used than Lickers.
Yeah. I think, I wish... When were the last game Hunters were used in?
Revelations, the first one.
Okay. Oh, they are in Revelations.
Yeah, they even have a new type of hunter that can go invisible.
Ooh. But yeah, they look pretty creepy. And, one explosive round will end them. And I think like 4 or 5 shotgun shells or something. But
yeah, they are not very durable, especially against.
But they are fast.
Hitting weapons.
And they will, like you said, they'll lock you to soft. They'll make you stuck.
Yeah, and it's very inconvenient if you are on anything below fine because they can just one-shot you.
Yeah. And they have a great sound when you blast them too. They have like the screech.
It's a good indicator that you have killed them because otherwise I would be just blasting into an empty hallway until nothing was moving.
Exactly, and that's the best way to fight them. Just aim off screen and shoot.
Yeah, unless they have already jumped, in which case you are screwed.
Exactly. When you get back to the safe room, you'll find some supplies that Barry left you. That's nice. Then you go back to the room where you got your second map with the fireplace you have to light. And then you have a boss fight with Jan, and this is where you take him down. I know I used acid rounds for him.
Then he just melts to the ground.
Yeah, he what does he do? Doesn't
he squishes down. The animation is really weird when he dies. He just squishes to a pancake and leaves up pulp on the floor.
It's really weird. But you get plenty of room to walk around. Really, you can just get far away from them, and there's a pretty good.
Is a lot bigger than the first one.
And there's a pretty good auto aim in this game, really. As long as you're in the right direction, you'll usually hit them. But yeah, it's not too bad. He creates a hole in the floor, and after the fight, you examine it. Barry comes in with a rope, and you climb down it, but then it drops, and you have the choice to either head on or wait for him. Which you get these choices at random points, which they're small little choices that can make a big difference with the endings, right?
Yeah, and I really love how the original trilogy of Resident Evil games did this. So many little things you can do differently every single playthrough.
Yeah. And if you decide to wait, you just kind of wait there for 60 seconds or something. And then he gives you a passcode. And you head down and you move a grave to get to a secret area. And there's a lift that takes you up to some hallways, some zombies. And let's see. Oh, you get to this puzzle where you're in a library and you have to move this statue to a very specific spot. They get the MO disc. It's kind of a weird puzzle, but there's a light that you can turn on that kind of shows you where to put the statue. Which
there's also nice. There's also a secret room in this room.
Is there?
If I'm remembering correctly which room this is, there is supposed to be, when you turn out the lights, you can see light coming from behind one of the bookshelves. Then you can push over the bookshelf, and there's a lot of items behind it.
Ah, I didn't find that.
Yeah, there is a small room behind one of them.
That's cool. Good to know. And yeah, I got very lost at this point in the game. I know I did a lot of running around trying to figure out where to go. Let's see. You can find in a helmet key room, you find orders saying that they lured the STARS members here to the mansion to collect battle data. Which is new for me. I didn't know that. I didn't know that's why they lured the STARS members into the mansion in the first place.
Yeah, but doesn't Wesker allude to this a lot in Zero with him and William talking in between? Rebecca and Billy running around.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But yeah, when Resident Evil 1 first came out, of course, this was a big revelation.
Yeah. And you can find another jewel here, and this is where you can put it into that cat statue and get the python. And this gun's great. One hits hunters and pretty much everything. And you can find a pretty good amount of ammo for it too.
Yeah. A surprisingly good amount.
Yeah, at this point I put my handgun in the box and I went with my shotgun and my bazooka. And I know I brought my Magnum with me later, but I mainly was using the shotgun because you can gather quite a lot of shells. So at this point, you head back to the garden because you got the battery, and the house is now filled. Well, the mansion has spiders and hunters in it now. So I also got lost here because back in the garden, you have to use the battery to take a lift up, and you have to crank the water. Use a crank to raise the water.
Oh,
lower.
Wait,
hold on.
You had to stop the water.
Right, yeah, by lowering the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get to a hidden waterfall ladder. Yeah, I got so lost here. I know I was stuck here for a while. Yeah, then you get to the caves, and you run into Barry, and he asked if you want him to go with you. I said yeah. And then he asked if you want him to go first. And, I said yeah. And then you can hear some gunshots, and you walk in on him killing a hunter. So that's pretty cool.
That saves you a lot of bullets at that point.
Yeah, it does. And it's cool because Barry's walking around with you, but you never really get into combat with him in the same room with you. There are multiple points you have characters following you, but it's only for like one room.
That's also another thing, going back to the original concepts of Resident Evil. There was also a interview where Shinji Mikami mentioned that they were thinking about adding a cooperative gameplay in Resident Evil 1 as well, so that you would have two players playing as survivors in the mansion.
I assume that was the plan of Zero as well. Well,
strangely enough, I'm pretty sure it was not. The little gameplay that we have ever seen of the original Zero, which was for the N64, it's pretty much the same with small story differences than the eventual GameCube release.
Huh. I wonder.
But strangely enough, even though the game does have the zapping system with two characters, I don't think it ever was supposed to have co-op.
Yeah, because there are quite a few parts where you get separated for a long amount of time.
Yeah, probably due to that.
I wonder, because the rumor is, they're going to get the Code Veronica remake and a Zero remake.
I don't think Zero or the remake of 1 really need a remake. I wouldn't be opposed to them because that's more Resident Evil for me, I guess. But for Code Veronica is the one that really needs a remake. My God.
And that's the one that's in Antarctica, right?
Yeah, and
a
random island in the Pacific, I think.
I think if they were to go back and actually remake Zero, I think it'd be a good opportunity to do something different. Maybe give us a co-op game. Because I kind of miss, it would be more action maybe. But, Resident Evil 5 and 6 aren't great Resident Evil games, but I think they're great co-op games. And it'd be cool to have another experience like that.
Isn't there a fan mod for Zero for emulators where you can play it co-op?
Oh, I'm sure that there is. Yeah.
But from what I've heard, it's really janky.
Oh, I'm sure. Like hell, even Mario 64 has a co-op emulator, and it's janky as hell.
I would imagine.
Yeah. Also, you can't kill Barry. I tried.
Poor Barry.
Yeah. You come across Enrico, who was part of the first squad set, and he's hurt, and he says someone is a traitor, and everything was plotted by the start from Umbrella, and then he's shot. Someone shoots him and kills him. He runs away. And you go investigate, and you can find the Hex Crank and a bunch of hunters. You use the crank to rotate walls so you can get through the different areas. And then there's 2 different moments where you get Indiana Jones by boulders.
It's really annoying to die to those.
It really is, yeah.
Because last save usually at that point is quite a ways away.
Yeah. I know it messed me up the first time when he got me. Also, when it does hit you, like, it leaves your body all bloodied up. It's kind of cool looking.
It's really cool with the Japanese version of this game. There is a unlockable end credits thing where they show like every single kind of like a fatality moment in the game throughout the credits. While the credits are rolling, it's just the characters dying in all kinds of horrible ways.
That's cool. I'd like to see that. Oh, this is what messed me up too. You get to this big room and there's a giant spider, and it's like the same as the other ones but bigger. It's like a little mini boss.
Yeah, the Black Tiger.
Yeah, he's pretty easy though, and it looks awesome whenever you end up popping it with your shotgun or whatever you're using.
And for some reason, there is an extra knife here.
Yeah. So the problem here was I didn't have room for that knife, and I didn't have a knife. So, yeah, I had to do quite a bit of backtracking to cut through these webs.
But can't you just use the flamethrower on those as well?
Well, I guess you could, yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure you can just burn them away. If you have any left, of course.
Yeah. I wonder if the lighter would work too.
I'm not sure if I've tried that.
Yeah. Yeah, then after this you get to another boulder. And guess what? I didn't have my crank with me, so I had to backtrack again.
Not again?
Yeah. Yeah, I had to do a lot of backtracking here. It's the only part where it really kind of got bad for me. But it's just lack of planning on my part. But that's going to happen your first time playing.
Yeah. It's true.
So you get to another room with a puzzle, and you have to push the statue to a certain part of the wall and activate it. And the wall pushes the statue up. It pushes it out from against the wall, so you can get it to where it needs to go. And then you get the second Doom book here, which now you need the head. Where do you get it? Oh, you have to go back to the garden area and look for this fountain area. Now, it took me to find this fountain, which was on a lift I didn't see. There's a lift in the garden that takes you up to an area, and it took me probably an hour and a half of looking around to find that lift. I went all the way back, like, through the mansion and everything, just looking everywhere. I went back through the guardhouse. I just didn't know what was happening.
I can totally relate. That happens often in various video games to me.
Yeah, I end up looking...
one thing and looking everywhere else.
I looked everywhere, and then I finally looked it up, and yeah, there was just a lift I didn't see. And also, I guess you just ditch Barry down
there. Yeah, well, he has his Magnum.
Yeah, he says he's investigating Enrico's dead body, because he's an investigator, as he does.
It's kind of too bad that in Zero they never really talk more about the Bravo team. You only have Rebecca and only occasionally other characters like Enrico.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, so you put the emblems you got from the Doom books into the fountain, and then you go down a lift, and now you're in the lab. And you get naked zombies. So, they look pretty gross and cool. You also find a letter to Ada. So, I didn't know Ada's in the series from the very beginning.
Yeah. And actually, an interesting tidbit from the comic series, because this game series used to have an official comic series back in the 90s as well. there is a short story where John, Ada's boyfriend here,
Yeah.
The zombie you kill when you enter the room, actually. There is a short story where he is writing that letter, and while he is writing, he keeps deteriorating as a human. And when Jill eventually in the final panels runs into the room, it's John just dropping his pencil and turning to Jill as a zombie, and then Jill kills him.
So he turned like right when he walked in.
Yeah,
that's
at least
cool.
according to the comics.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it's always like nice to know these little details that you wouldn't otherwise have.
That's what I love about the series. Like all these characters, there's you run into this dead guy, but there's so much that he went through to get there dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get a letter from John saying he's infected, and he tells her how to get through the security, and tells her to make this public to the media. And if she finds him, to put him down. And let's see. Yeah.
John also has the worst passwords. In a top secret security umbrella lab, he has a 3-letter password.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Damn you, John! You are the reason why all of this is happening.
He's not concerned with security.
No, clearly not.
You also find the slides, and you can go to the visual data room to put them in the projector to learn more about Umbrella. And you also get to see some of the creatures and their names, like Neptune and Plant
Cerberus,
42,
at least.
I think. Yeah, Cerberus.
I think it's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, I always like getting more information on the fucked up little creatures I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Also, do you know what the hunters are spliced with?
I think it was frog spliced with human DNA.
Okay, that makes sense. So wait, so what is the... Okay, I was thinking about the frog that you meet in Zero that can eat you whole.
Yeah, that wasn't a bioweapon, actually. That was just a accidental viral mutation in just regular frogs.
Yeah, because they said the virus got in the water, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why you also get the Stinger, the giant scorpion, and Centurion, the giant centipede.
Yeah.
They are just completely accidental evolutions caused by this.
Yeah. I like seeing all the creatures, and like I just think they make great creatures in these games. Yeah, that frog in Zero, that one hit kills you. Fucking.
I will never forget how Billy just watched me get dragged across an entire room.
You had him there with you?
Yeah, he was just looking at me while the frog was dragging me, and I was like at the very end of the room, so it was painfully slow as well when the frog was dragging me through the whole room.
So funny.
And Billy's just watching like, Rebecca, what are you doing? Why are you going inside that frog? Fuck you, Billy!
Oh man, that's amazing. Yeah, when that thing first ate me, it had been a while since I saved.
Oh yeah, tends to happen.
Yeah. So then, you get the lab key, and you end up at, a little puzzle where you have to move boxes and stairs. Crazy. It's pretty easy, but you end up getting to an air vent that leads to a morgue area, and with I think a pass key that you need is here.
When I was younger, these morgue areas always made me scared.
Well, yeah, it's a morgue, and don't you find the chimeras here?
The chimeras come a little later. They come in the engine rooms.
Oh, okay, and that's where you go after this. Yeah. And the chimeras, I didn't even know about these enemies. These are the only ones that caught me by surprise. Like, I had no idea they were even in the game.
Yeah, they're like this weird fly man creature.
Yeah, and they're only in like 1 or 2 rooms. But
they're such a I especially with Resident Evil enemy designs, I love these just completely one-off enemies that you randomly meet and never see again. You're just left wondering, like, what the fuck was that?
I know, it's awesome. Like, you don't want to overuse these, because they'll lose their effectiveness as creepy little creatures.
Yeah, if they started appearing all the way throughout the mansion, then yeah.
Right, like I like how they do it with the spiders in the mansion. They put them in like one room, like, oh, there's spiders in this one room now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you kill some of these chimeras, and they're on the ceilings. They can crawl on ceilings, and yeah, they can be pretty tough. But
I always have my Magnum ready for those.
Oh yeah, that's what I use too, the Magnum. You end up getting to a cell with Chris in it, and you're Chris, it finds Jill.
That's another fun thing that's in the comics. There is a STARS briefing that takes place after the mansion incident, and they are going through the events with the team, and then when Chris mentions that he found Jill in the jail cell, they get into a bit of a fight about Jill saying it was actually Chris and Jill found him in the cell, and they start bickering about which one found
That's awesome.
in the cell. It's like, it's never explained, it's just funny. Like, who was in there then?
It's up to you. That's cool. That's always nice when people really know and respect the source material.
Yeah, the comics are really fun. I enjoy them.
I'll have to check those out. I didn't even know there were Resident Evil comics, but everything has a comic, so I should have known.
The previous comic actually released like last year.
Oh. Huh. Have you read it?
Yeah, it was about the Infinite Darkness animated TV series that was made for Netflix a while ago.
Oh. Was that good?
It's okay. It's not the best of the CG animated projects, but it's okay. It takes place a little bit after Resident Evil 4, where Ashley's father is still the president. And you can even see a small picture frame of Ashley in the White House.
That's cool. Oh man, what the hell was I going to say? Oh, the only animated one I seen was I think it was Degeneration, the airport one.
Yeah, that's I think it takes place in 2005-ish. It takes place a little bit before Infinite Darkness. Like, Infinite Darkness is kind of a follow-up to Degeneration. It gets kind of jumbled when they keep releasing these things that take place in between games that were released like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Now you got you'll have 5 other projects that take place between, the small time period between 1 and 2 or whatever, 2 and 3.
Yeah, but I like that they have these side stories detailing the events between games, because nowadays it's always 4 or 5 years between games, and they always take place around the year they release in. So there's always a 5-year gap in the story. So it's nice that they fill in the gaps with spin-offs and movies.
Yeah, and even if remakes, they'll throw a new file in or something that ties something together.
Yeah, true. Like in Resident Evil 2, I think they added a file in the remake that Jill has written, which is not in the original, obviously.
Yeah. I think there's even I think in the Resident Evil 4 remake, I think in the lab you can find stuff referring to 5 and stuff like that. But,
and you mentioned Resident Evil 2, the N64 version earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And that also, because it's the last of the Resident Evil 2 versions, I think. No, it wasn't. Dreamcast one was later. But the N64 version has this thing called EX files, which have information detailing games that were released after Resident Evil 2. It has a lot of stuff about Resident Evil 3, Code Veronica, even the Outbreak titles.
Huh. Awesome. So, the N64 version does up to?
Excuse me? You cut out a little.
Oh, you said the N64 version of 2 has that?
Yeah, it's the only version that has the EX files.
That's awesome. It's like there's so many tiny reasons to go check out the other versions.
Yeah, I think Resident Evil 3 is the only one where, at least the original, of course, you can play the remake and the original, but with the original, pretty much any version you play, you get the same game. It's the only one that doesn't really have any extra stuff, apart from maybe outfits.
Yeah.
Between the versions.
Yeah, I haven't played the remake of 3 or the original, so I'm excited to get into that. Because I know after playing the remake of 2, I really want to go back and play the original 2 now.
But they are a lot different from each other than you'd think, because the remakes of 2 and 3 cut a lot of content from the originals.
Oh yeah, I heard that, especially with the 3 remake, I think I heard.
Yeah. But with 2 as well, because with 2, you don't really have 2 separate campaigns anymore. You just have basically one campaign that you can play as either character, but with the original, you had basically 4 different campaigns.
Damn.
It was a massive game for its time.
Oh yeah. So you find Chris, but he's still stuck in his cell, and you head off and activate the elevator, and an alarm goes off, and Barry arrives. And you two go up the elevator and run into Wesker. And Barry pulls a gun on Jill. And Wesker says we better be scared of Barry because his family will die if he doesn't do what he's told. And you and Wesker have a back and forth argument. And, Wesker says he plans to burn this place and the creatures with it, orders from Umbrella, and then orders Barry to wait above ground. But then he says he's actually working on his own because he wants to control these things. And Wesker's just all over the place.
As any other mad scientist would be.
Right. And he says he's going to show us the Tyrant, and Barry comes back and knocks Wesker out. And he asks what Wesker planned to show us, and Barry's like, he wants to see the Tyrant, so you two go see it. And Jill tells Barry, you're so optimistic. And yeah, it's just a weird conversation. You get to a lab and the Tyrant's in like a test tube thing, and you get like a weird cutscene of getting a close-up on the tube and the Tyrant, and you guys try to kill it, but you just drain the tank and it busts loose, throwing Barry aside. And Jill says, hey, it can't control what it does. And then you go into a fight. It's like she's making an excuse for it. Like, it didn't mean to do that.
It's so weird. Why?
It is weird. And I know when you get to this point as Chris, you're with Wesker instead, and he tries to send a Tyrant at you, and it impales him. And Chris says, you can't kill me, and then you get into the fight.
It's actually pretty interesting with the Tyrant impaling Wesker here, because pretty much every Resident Evil game has started as a different kind of game than what we eventually got, so also Resident Evil 5 had this. And in the original concepts of Resident Evil 5, there would have been a Tyrant, and the Tyrant would have killed Excella the same way it impaled Wesker here in the first one.
Huh. And instead, Excella turns into a giant satellite, or a giant monster at the satellite laser.
Yeah.
So weird. Yeah, I wish I could be in, like, I could see, like, the idea room, development room of this game, because so much stuff had to have been happening. Like, a Resident Evil game turned into Devil May Cry, and then a Resident Evil game turned into something else. Can't remember what it was. Oh, Onimusha.
Yeah, the first one.
So, like, there just must have been ideas going all over the place.
Yeah, and even with Resident Evil 1, the game even had a lot of, two cut characters from the story as well.
Like important characters, or just
yeah. I'm not sure if they got replaced by other characters, but the game was originally going to have a African American medic. I think he was kind of Rebecca at the time.
Right. Yeah.
He was called Dewey. He was supposed to be kind of like a comic relief character, somewhat reminiscent of Eddie Murphy, who was popular at the time.
Right. Yeah.
Then there was going to be a radio operative called Geltzer, very weird name, who was like a fucking ginormous guy, almost double the height of Chris, had a cybernetic eye and 2 automatic shotguns.
What? Yeah. Probably had to cut him because he would have just blasted away the dogs in the forest immediately. I don't know. That's so different. I kind of wish we got that character.
Yeah. And Dewey's name actually got reused as a different character. The Edward Dewey was Bravo Team's helicopter pilot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, you have to fight the tyrant, and honestly, like, he's kind of a pushover.
Yeah, he is. Like, one of the easiest video game bosses ever.
Yeah, I mean, he's slow, he will charge at you, but as long as you're moving, it's not that big of a deal. And I had explosive rounds, and that's what I used, and, you had the Magnum, too. Well, you might, but if not, you probably have the bazooka.
I'm pretty sure he goes down with a handgun as well, quite easily.
Yeah. And Barry's alive, and gets up, and guess what? Wester's gone. And a alarm sounds, and you head back to Chris. And Jill pulls a Solid Snake and says, "Sorry to keep you waiting." And then, yeah, you guys have to head out towards the surface, and you have a 3-minute countdown until the whole place explodes. And you can hear the tyrant coming, and Chris tells you to go on while him and Barry hold it off. So, you go up the elevator, and on the helipad, a helicopter's hovering above, and as all helicopters do in Resident Evil... Wait, no, he doesn't, but for some reason I thought he blew up the helicopter, the tyrant, but he doesn't.
Yeah, the helicopter pilots usually have really bad luck with the Resident Evil series. But, to be fair, the helicopter did leave you at the beginning, so there was kind of that.
True. Yeah, I was thinking of like Resident Evil 4 and 5, both them helicopter pilots go down horribly.
Pretty much in every single Resident Evil where there is a helicopter, it will go down.
Yeah.
But that's why Brad's nickname is Chicken Heart. The helicopter pilot. Yeah, he's Brad Chickenheart because he's known for his cowardly attitude.
That's great.
But at least he pulled back to the mansion and, does help you out in the end.
True, he ended up coming through. So the tyrant comes up above ground and final boss, and it's pretty much the same boss that you just fought. Does he have any new moves?
He does have a slashing sprint attack.
Right, he'll do like a sprint and he'll uppercut you with his.
Yeah, he can impale you with his long middle finger and just throw you around with that.
Oh, I don't think I got hit with that. I didn't see that one. Yeah,
it does a lot of
damage. But eventually, you get a big-ass rocket launcher thrown down to you, which, it's so weird. It really bothers me that there's the bazooka and the rocket launcher. I really wish they would have made the bazooka the grenade launcher or something.
Yeah.
So that gets tossed down to you, and you hit him with a direct hit, completely exploding him. And the helicopter takes off with you all on it, and you get a live action scene with Jill leaning on Chris, and Rebecca's not even in the game when you're Jill, right?
Yeah, Resident Evil 1, even with the remake, is interesting because you can never have the canon ending. You can never actually have all the survivors of the mansion incident at the same helicopter ride away from there.
That's so weird. And
so even the canon events are just a mix of the two games. Two campaigns.
Yeah, because in canon, Rebecca and Barry are both on that helicopter, right?
Yeah.
Huh. No, that's Capcom and Resident Evil for you.
Yeah.
That's Resident Evil. Let me look at. I'm trying to think if there are any Chris differences that I didn't cover. Not really. Yeah, he doesn't start with a gun, and you end up finding Jill's gun. There's that scene where you. Hold on. All right. There's that funny scene where he tries to play the Moonlit Sonata.
Oh yeah, completely messing it up.
Right. Yeah, and Rebecca comes in and saves the day. Let's see. Oh yeah, Rebecca also mentions that her team had to make an emergency landing, which is weird because she just serviced a helicopter. So, sabotage from somebody. Richard's already dead when you get to him as Chris. And we talked about the Tyrant impaling Wesker, and I think that's really about it with differences.
But I like how even though the differences are minor, you can still get a little bit of extra storytelling with that sabotage thing. Yeah.
I think the differences, you get a lot of story with both stories, and I think in order to beat the game, I think you have to play both of them.
Same.
Yeah, especially with the canon ending being a mix of both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was Resident Evil.
Yeah. And you even get to meet the pilot again in Resident Evil 3.
Oh, you do? This pilot?
Yeah, Brett. He comes back in Resident Evil 3.
Ooh, cool.
He's more of a on-the-ground character this time, with not being in a helicopter.
Does he, I was going to ask if he makes it out, but I'll find out.
You'll find out.
Thank you for joining me, talking about... Is there anything else you want to say about Resident Evil?
Nothing that comes to mind. I'm pretty sure I'll be here later on with the other games as well.
That'd be great.
At least 3.
Yeah. We'll even get you on here for Gaiden if you want.
Oh, definitely, I would love to. Most people tend to hate on Gaiden, but I love that game as well. It's silly, it's weird, it has just the right amount of weirdness to make it pop out from the Game Boy Color game catalog.
And it's I actually really enjoy the combat for that game.
Yeah, it takes a lot getting used to, but
it does. Yeah.
It's a fun style of a different kind of combat system. Kind of makes it a little bit RPG-ish.
Right. I mean, it's the best you're gonna do if you're trying to make a Resident Evil on Game Boy.
Yeah, well, there was that Resident Evil 1 Game Boy Color port that they were making, which was also not finished, but later leaked and playable up until the elevator that takes you to Wesker. That's where the game kind of ends. Well, it doesn't really end, but you can't actually activate the elevator, so,
I mean, that's pretty far.
It is almost the entire game.
Yeah, that's cool.
Pretty much everything except the final boss.
Yeah.
I actually still prefer the Gaiden style, because it's cool that they made it 3D, like it's surprisingly faithful for a Game Boy Color game, but it makes it also quite janky.
And you also get like a little bit of time pressure too, because you see them approaching you. as you're trying to take them out. Don't they like slowly move forward whenever you have your gun out pointing at them on the Game Boy?
Yeah, they do.
You just got to take them out before they get to the end of the screen, pretty much.
Yeah, and if they get on your face, you can actually use the surprisingly good knife in the game.
Ooh. Oh yeah. Well, I look forward to more Resident Evil talk with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank y'all for listening. Never enough gaming. Never enough gaming. Yeah, I'll say it right one day.